The only thing more complicated than assembling all the toys at Christmas is coordinating a custody possession schedule for the holidays. Welcome to the consultation. My name is Josh Floyd.
My name is Christina Jimenez.
We are both board certified family law attorneys here at Jimenez Floyd Family Law Firm. Today we're going to discuss with you holiday possession schedules.
Yes. So, it's that time of year. We're, about to get into Thanksgiving. We're about to get into Christmas. And, unfortunately, if you guys are separated, if y'all are divorced or just, have a parenting plan that it's in order, we got to make sure that we're coordinating, that we're being kind, that we're making sure the holidays are still special for the kiddos. And so today we're going to kind of talk about some of the issues that come up. We'll kind of, take a little bit of a deep dive into what a standard possession order in Texas looks like and just some tips and tricks to hopefully help you guys navigate so we don't have huge problems during the holidays because they're already really tough and stressful.
If you ask any family law attorney, October to December, terrible.
Right.
We were so busy. We get so many calls. This brings up the worst in people.
It really does.
We're going to dive into why and what to do about it.
So, first topic is why the holidays trigger more family issues.
I told you we were going to talk about why.
I know. So it says heightened emotions and expectations. So I will just tell you from my experience in dealing with clients, and especially if this is going to be your first year, being separated and, never having had a family Christmas or a family Thanksgiving, it's really, really tough. And so if you are in the situation, even if it's, been a few years, if you're in the situation, please make sure that you are visiting with your mental health professionals, that you're in church, that you're talking to family, because it's really stressful and it's really hard. And your kiddos can kind of feel that and see it. And we want to make sure that we're protecting ourselves and we're protecting them, right?
Another thing would be like the new partners, or you have blended families, right? So this was one of my wife's problems with her first year without Caleb. Because we had Kason, and she wanted both of her kids together on Christmas. And so that's difficult, especially if you don't have a partner that's understanding.
Right.
That's putting in now. I am a fantastic husband, so that wasn't it. But but we do see, we have the new spouse is, well, why does she get that, or why does whatever, right? Which adds more pressure to this parent that's already emotionally distraught about not having Christmas or whatever with the holidays with their child. So new partners, blended families could just add another layer.
Exactly. Well, and then the other thing that we talked about was just the financial stress, like the financial component of this. And so, again, if you are new to the situation, y'all are recently divorced, or y'all are maybe just separated and under some temporary orders, and you guys are busy paying lawyers lots of money, it makes it really hard to kind of have a nice Christmas sometimes. And so, I think that's yet another reason why people call and they're so stressed and they're so worked up about this time that they're having to spend away from their children, because they're worried about the partners, they're worried about the money, they're worried just about the fact that they might be alone, right? Their kiddos might be with the other parent and they might be alone, and that's really, really tough.
And then travel schedules, because a lot of people do travel this time of year, right, to go see family, and traditions that you've had throughout the entire kids' lives are now changed. Sometimes parents travel to their parents' houses and vice versa, and then now it's all changed because you don't have the time to do that now, or you may not. Or if you have a new partner and they have traditions where they go out of town, right, and then you and your child can't go now,
right. So
lots of problems if you can't tell.
It's lots of problems.
And most of them surround new partners.
Yeah, and I mean, and what I will say is if you find yourself in that position, obviously it's going to be tough because you're trying to honor your new relationship and your new spouse, your new significant other. But you really need to try to keep in mind the other parent and really the kiddos and kind of what they grew up with and what they're accustomed to and what their expectations might be, and really try to balance that expectation between your partner and the biological parent of the other child. And we probably should have led with this, and I'm sure it's somewhere, in our notes here in just a second, but I think the most important thing that you can do to make holiday possession schedules successful is to try to work with the other parent as much as reasonably possible. Because if you can do that, then I think it makes for a better experience for the kiddos. Right?
Yeah, I think we'll touch on that again towards the end of the podcast. But I
always jump ahead of the outline every single time. Sorry. Okay, so there's more common holiday possession schedule challenges. So disagreements about pickup and drop off times. Should we talk about the schedule like per standard possession order now?
Sure.
Talking about pick up and drop off?
Sure, why not?
Okay. So in Texas, we have a standard possession holiday schedule, right? You will find this probably in 90% of orders, just because it's what the legislature has stated is going to be in the best interest of the children, and it's easy for us to draft. And I think kind of for the most part, it makes the most sense if you guys are not able to agree. And so we are in an odd year right now. This is 2025. And so who has Thanksgiving, Floyd?
The non-custodial parent.
Okay. So non-custodial parent, or the possessory conservator. And when does that person's period of possession begin for Thanksgiving?
So it depends. So generally it's at 6:00 on the day the child is dismissed from school for Thanksgiving break. But if you're under 50 miles now with the new alternative beginning and ending times, it would begin when the child is dismissed from school.
Okay. And that's for the Thanksgiving vacation, right?
Yes.
And so I know that, depending on the school district, some people might be getting out today for Thanksgiving. Some people might be getting out Tuesday of next week for Thanksgiving. We don't know when they're getting out, but it is the day that they're dismissed from school, either at that time or at 6 p.m., depending on your school district. And so if you guys are operating under a standard possession order, y'all need to make sure that you always have the school calendar handy, put it on your refrigerator, because that's what we're going to be looking at to determine holiday possession.
And so I think it's specifically where like the last day of school before, right? And so a lot of people get confused because like today may be a holiday for some school districts, but it's a teacher workday, right? They're not out for Thanksgiving until next week, and so their possession doesn't start until Monday. Well, no. It starts the last day before Thanksgiving break, so it would be today. Are we okay? We're good?
Yeah.
Okay. That was loud.
Okay. It's a little scary.
Okay.
The
AC works.
So that's when it begins, and then when does it end?
6 p.m. the Sunday following Thanksgiving Day.
Okay. And so, with regard to exchanges, like picking up and dropping off, and who's supposed to pick up and who's supposed to drop off, it just kind of depends on the order, right?
It does, yes.
Okay. So look at normally in an order you have the holidays all outlined for you, and it says beginning and end times, etc. And then typically there'll be what we call general provisions where it talks about pick up and drop off, right? So language that says that you'll pick up at this time and the other parent will surrender at this time and at this location. So that's what you guys have to check out to figure out, okay, am I supposed to pick up from mom or am I supposed to drop off to mom? Like, what do I need to do for that? But then we also have Christmas coming up.
We do have Christmas.
And so how does that work for odd years?
Odd years, the custodial gets the first half. Non-custodial gets the second half.
Okay, and so whenever we are referring to the first half, it begins on the day that the children are dismissed for Christmas holiday or for winter break, right? First. And that'll either be at school dismissal or at 6 p.m., right? Depending on the order?
Yippers.
Okay. And so when does it end?
Is this like a quiz?
It is. I feel like
yeah, I know.
Tell me.
December 28th at noon.
Right.
Unless you have a very old order, which my wife does have. So December 28th at noon.
What was the old order?
December 26th.
Oh, really? I did not know that. That's crazy. Okay. So December 28th at noon. And so that's when the possessory conservator, the non-custodial parent, would then pick up the kiddo. And they would keep the kiddo or kiddos all the way until the Sunday preceding the date that school resumes at 6 p.m. Okay.
And my theory is that legislatures did that to really just throw everybody off, because every other exchange is 6 p.m. except for this one's at noon.
Right. Right. It's because maybe it's not even a perfect halfway point. Yeah. But and here's the thing, and I get this all the time whenever I'm dealing with clients on possession schedule, is they'll count the days and say, well, they're going to get more days because they get out of school earlier, they're starting school later. There's nothing we can do about that, guys. I mean, the order is the order. The standard possession order is the order. And so don't get so worked up on it. Or about it. I think most of the time the following year, it's probably going to work out, right? Or maybe 2 years from now, it's going to work out. So try not to get too caught up in that. And if you guys can try to agree to maybe give the other parents a little bit of time on Thanksgiving Day or on Christmas Day or on New Year's Day, do it, right? Because that's what's probably going to be best for your kiddos. So, disagreements about pickup and drop off times. If you guys have an order, hopefully y'all can just follow your order and we're good and we're done and y'all don't have too many disagreements.
If you don't have an order, then you wouldn't have a standard possession schedule.
Facts. Well, then why would there be I mean, I guess people still disagree about pickup and drop off for.
If they're not together, if they separated and they don't have an order, yes. But none of this would apply to them.
I'm looking at the outline, Mr. Floyd. That's like literally what we started talking about was disagreements about pickup and drop off times.
Yeah, because it can be confusing because it's at noon or when school gets out. We already talked about that. Whether it's a student holiday or we discussed that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
you just move to the next one.
Travel conflicts, out of state, flight delays, passports.
Those are facts. Those are all travel conflicts.
So here's the thing that happens a lot, right? Where a flight's going to be delayed, or maybe we need to try to pick up a little bit earlier so that we can get on a flight. Maybe they're going to need a passport so that they can travel. I would tell people to be very, very cautious on not being cooperative with those types of requests from the other parent. Because I think that most judges are going to be pretty upset if kiddo misses a trip to, Disney World for Christmas because you wouldn't let, dad have them for an extra hour, so they could catch a flight. Passports, like if there's normally in an order, there's going to be standard passport language where we're doing 21 days in advance, you got to give notice, etc. If that parent complies with that provision, then you need to make sure that you are complying with that, because there's some pretty, like, you can get hit with travel expenses, non-refundable fees, etc. So you don't want to mess with any of that. And I don't think you want to go back to court like on a TRO or some sort of, relief because you're not allowing the kiddo to travel.
And also, additional passport language would be they have 10 days to sign any documents necessary to obtain the passport. But if you're worried about that right now, you're probably too late.
Right. So next thing is one parent wanting extra time. That's a challenge.
Yeah, but again, just cooperate, right? If you don't have anything going on, let them have it, right? Maybe they'll return the favor next year. Focus on the kid. That's what this is about, right? And so if it's not a big deal, let them have it. Just don't be a jerk. That's
every time we give this talk, that's always our theme is don't be a jerk and
and
be kind. And 'tis the season. So, what about extended family pressure, like grandparents and aunts?
Yeah, it's real. It happens because of, again, these traditions, right? We always go to my grandparents' house. We always do this. They don't get to see the child except for on Christmas and Thanksgiving. And now you're splitting the schedule. And so now they're not getting to see you every other year, right? And so you do have those outside pressures. One, the parent that's having the issue needs to address that with the what's it called? Extended family. But then also the other parent needs to be understanding. Like, yes, for the past 10 years, we always did go to Grandma Billy's house or whatever for Christmas. So I'm going to let them do that, right? And in exchange, you're going to let me take them to Aunt Susie's or whatever, right? So there are those extended family pressures. Everybody wants to see the babies, right? Especially grandparents. So just don't be a jerk.
What are your thoughts on like splitting Christmas Day and splitting Christmas Eve?
It's a nightmare to draft the order. I hate drafting the order like that, but I think it's what's best for the kids. I love when parents do that.
Yeah. If you can do it, and even if you can just do it by agreement, like try to do that, because I think it's such a special time of year for most kiddos. And so it's really neat whenever they can spend maybe morning with mom and then afternoon with dad and have Christmas Day with each parent. And obviously, if you're not traveling, I would definitely recommend it.
And you have some people that celebrate Christmas Eve, right? Don't really do much on Christmas Day. So why the hell not just give them Christmas Day? Right. You don't do anything anyway. Right? Except to be a jerk, which we don't want you to be.
Very good. So how to prevent holiday conflict. So plan early, and look at your orders before October, right? So a lot of times, and I actually just had a text message from my client today. he, thought he got confused. He thought that he was supposed to have a Thanksgiving this year, and thank the Lord, he went and he looked at his orders and he was like, oh goodness, it's actually her Thanksgiving. I'm supposed to have Christmas this year. And so, we had to text back and forth on clarification of that particular issue, but look at your orders, right? Make sure that you have it on your calendar, make sure that you're ready. So that way, if you have to travel or whatever, we're making appropriate plans.
And if you have a good co-parenting relationship with the other parent and you historically have not followed the orders, like you went off and you started splitting holidays, just confirm with them early. Hey, just make sure this year this is the way we're going to do it, right? Don't just assume that that's the way it's going to continue. Maybe they got a new partner and maybe they have other plans, right? And they looked at the order and they want to follow the order. So just confirm that early. Maybe even before October. That way, if we need to get on a hearing to address it, we have time to do that. If you have been doing it a certain way and you want to continue that, and the other parent's saying no, let's go have a hearing on it and see what happens. But you got to do it early.
So one of the things, and I've had this happen before with other clients where they, like you're saying, they've traditionally done, I always have Christmas Eve and she always has Christmas. Or, hey, we agreed months ago that we're going to split the weeks or we're going to, trade time or whatever. And then at the last minute, the other parent backs out and says,
he's a jerk.
He's a Grinch.
A real not big, nice,
the Grinchy thing to do. And so then the question is, well, sometimes we get those calls like, she promised me that I was going to have him today and she's not allowing me to have my son. Like, what am I supposed to do? I have a text message, I have an OFW message, and so I want to enforce my right to this. And unfortunately, there's not a whole lot that we can do whenever that happens, and it really, really sucks, especially if maybe you gave up Thanksgiving so that you could have Christmas Day and now they're being ugly. I just say, lesson learned, right? You can't do anything outside of the order anymore with that particular parent because you might get burned again. And it's really crappy because it's probably not what's best for your kids, but there's no other way to prevent that or enforce that.
But it is something that if you go back on a modification that judges will take into account, right? The lack of co-parenting, the just being a jerk, right? And so keep track of it, right? So it's not all's not lost, but it is at that point.
Yeah, in that particular moment, it's for sure lost. But and also, like, if you are the parent that is making that move, like, understand, like Floyd's saying, in the future, it could most certainly, come up and could be a potential issue, right? And you just don't want to have those sort of issues in front of a judge. Like, it just makes you look really bad. So, communicate in writing, of course. But again, even if it's in writing and if they back out, not a whole lot we can do. But if we have to have a hearing later on, we have the evidence to say, hey, this is what she said at first, and this is now what she's saying, and now we have problems. Right?
Yeah, and then when you talk about writing it, watch the way you say things, right? Because it's not just emotional time for you; it's emotional time for the other party. You don't know what all they're going through, or stresses from their extended family or partners, and all that. So just watch the way you say things. Be polite. Try not to be emotional, right? Think about the child when you're communicating and what's best for them, and not make these little jackass jabs. Am I allowed to say that word? Well, I did. Jack butt jabs. I'm
looking at Xavier.
Sorry, you can put a beep. Make these little jabs parents like to make. Like, why did you say the last part? It's not necessary.
Good until the last sentence. And one of the things I think is good is confirming logistics, and especially about gifts, guys. And don't be the asshole. We're just gonna be using ass a lot through this whole thing. Like, don't be that person like, hey, I know dad's going to buy him the PlayStation, so I'm going to make sure that I get him the gift first so that dad's gift is ruined. Like, we've had that happen before, and it's just so crappy. And so kiddo doesn't get a good gift from dad because you wanted to screw it up for him. Don't do it, right? Work together. Maybe y'all say this is going to be from both of us, or maybe we have dad that's getting the PlayStation and mom's getting all the accessories. So now we're a team, and this is an awesome Christmas experience for baby boy. That's what you guys need to be doing.
And kids see it; they know. Yeah. You may not think they do; they know.
Yeah.
If you're being a jerk and you ruin their Christmas, they will remember.
They will. So tools for successful communication. Shared calendar. So we recommend our Family Wizard. They should be a sponsor. Our Family
They should be a
Wizard.
sponsor. Yeah, hit us up.
So we recommend our Family Wizard. There's also an app called App Close, and
Which I
you
don't
know,
really like.
yeah. But I've had clients who use Google Calendar, like a shared Google Calendar. But sharing your calendars is really a great idea, right? And sharing schedules. And especially if you're going to be traveling around the holidays, which most of us do. Um, don't be a jerk. Like I've had this happen where dad was taking a kiddo and I think she was, barely gonna be 3, and she'd never been away from mom, and he was taking her, he just said out of state for vacation, and wouldn't tell her like where, with who, when they were leaving, when they were coming back. And just like the anxiety that mom had to feel, and maybe I'm sure it was absolutely fine, the vacation he was going on, but just tell her, right? Just say, we're going to be staying with Annie Sue. Here's her address. Jim, Bill, Bob, and Joe are all going to be there, and we're going to be traveling by plane. Here's the flight, just in case, Lord forbid, something goes on with travel. Now we know that my baby girl wasn't on that plane, and this is when we're coming back, right? So simple, and it goes such a long way to make everything go smoothly, right?
Yeah, I get those calls all the time. Like, do I have to tell them if I'm traveling to Colorado? No, but why not?
Right. But yes, you should if you're going to be our client.
Right. You definitely
Yes,
should.
you're going to do it. So the next thing is setting clear boundaries for conversations. Um,
I don't know what that means, but I'm sure it was great when we put it in there.
Well, I mean, I think that most of the time, and that's again why I like to use the apps, is because that's all documented, right? And I think that a lot of times what sometimes will happen is because everybody's emotional, because everybody's stressed. I mean, just because it's the holidays, we're all stressed. That when y'all are verbally communicating, sometimes things get heightened very quickly and we are ugly to one another. And so I think that's what we were talking about. It's like setting clear boundaries. Let's make sure that we have everything in writing. Let's make sure we're not getting ugly with one another, that we're not escalating these things to a place that it just doesn't need to be at. So, which is why I love text messages or FWs or emails, because sometimes when you're writing it out, you maybe will say, maybe I shouldn't say this, to the other side. I know that Brian, back in the day, my husband, many moons ago, whenever he would sometimes get upset with his ex, it was always a filter, a Christina filter of like, yeah, we're not going to say that today. So have a filter, right? You're somebody you trust to come in and say, yeah, don't say that, right? So, next thing is when things get heated, how to respond.
Have a filter.
Have a filter, but don't react instantly. So I have a what rule? 72 hour
72
rule.
hour rule.
Yeah, I've had to extend it now.
Okay.
Things get pretty heated. So when things get bad, I always impose a 72-hour rule. And basically, if I don't have to respond, I'm going to wait 72 hours before I respond to something. So that way I can be calm and collected, make sure that I'm saying and doing the right things. And so I think that if something comes up like, hey, I've decided I'm going to go and take our kiddo to my girlfriend's, parents' house in Mexico for my winter break, and your mom and you get pretty heated or upset about that, chill for 72 hours, right? Give it some really good thought as to what you're going to respond, and then, respond appropriately. I would always, if you're going to take that time, just say something like, thank you for sharing, and give me some time to think about this, and I'll let you know within a couple of days, right? So that way they know that you're thinking and processing, that you're not just ignoring, right? Because judge won't take that very kindly either.
And keep your responses short. Again, don't make the unnecessary jabs, right? And don't argue. It doesn't do any good. And I tell all of my clients when they're arguing on text message, I'm like, well, why did you argue with her? Well, because she says this. It takes two people to argue, right? A person can't. No one other than Christina can argue with herself, right?
Happens all the time.
And so when they start that crap, just say, okay, or this is what the order says, and don't debate it, right? Just stick to the facts and go about your business. You want to respond, right, ugly because they responded ugly, and that's just natural, but don't, right? Keep it short. Stay facts. Stick to the facts. This is what it says. This is what we're doing. A, B, C, D. It's not up for debate.
Big thing is removing the kids from the adult conversations.
That's not just during the holidays.
Yeah. And I will tell you guys that is like one of the biggest ways that parents get in trouble is when we have kiddos that know way too much about the case and or interject in adult conversations. It's just it should never happen, and I don't care if they're 14, 15, 16. What's going on between you and your ex, it's between you guys, and the kiddos just need to be focused on the holidays and their winter break and their Thanksgiving break and having fun, and that should be the extent of it. Okay.
Avoid threats like, I'll take you back to court if you don't do ABC, or I'm going to document this for the judge, or whatever. I don't know what they think that helps. If that's going to make somebody change their mind, like, oh, you're going to take me to court, then never mind, here you go. Right? No, it just causes them to take me back to court, then I don't give a crap. Whatever, right? It just escalates things, right? If you are going to take them back to court, fine, right? Call us, we'll do it. But you don't need to make the threat. It's just going to make things worse. It's going to make you look like a jerk. So, and don't stuff like, oh, well, I'll just be sure to make note of this for the judge, right? Or whatever. Just stick to the facts.
Right.
Don't be jerk.
And so, some final advice. One of the things that we wrote down is keeping the kids at the center.
Didn't we talk about at the beginning of the podcast?
I think I acknowledged that I jumped ahead. So, we want to keep the kids at the center of the holidays.
Bless you, Xavier.
So, going back to just open communication, working with one another, coordinating things, and if you guys are diligent and you use OFW and maybe mom, you're coming in and you're saying, hey, like, here's the things that I'm going to be buying for Christmas, and I thought it'd be really cool if you buy this, or hey, I really would like to leave a little bit early for my Christmas vacation. If you let me leave early, then I'll give you some extra time on this weekend. And you're being the gracious parent and you're trying to be kind and compromise and doing all these things. The judge is going to see that, right? And if the other parent's ignoring you, they're being stubborn, they're being stupid, they're being ugly, like, the judge will see that also. And I can assure you that there will be some price to pay down the road. And so you keep the kids at the center and you work towards that end, I think you'll be fine.
And don't make comments to the kids like, well, I was going to take you to grandma's, but your mom won't let you go. It doesn't help, right? Or if you know that the kid really loves grandma's house and unfortunately they don't get to go this year, don't rub it in, right? Don't tell them about how great of a time you're going to have at grandma's and things like that. You're just going to make their time at the other parent's house miserable. Right. That's the only person you're hurting is the kid, right? Not the other parent. So just keep them out of it.
Right. So next thing is compromise when possible.
Don't be a jerk.
Very good. How about after every one of these ones they know it?
Like our one podcast we did?
That's not.
No.
Okay, so compromise when possible. Again, try to work with one another to be flexible in those holiday times. So,
don't let it turn into a fight.
Yeah.
You can stop it. It takes two people. Right? It always takes two people to fight. If they start fighting, just stop. Just stop. You be the bigger person. Right? And we hear all the time, why do I have to be the bigger person if there's being a jerk? Right? Because it's the right thing to do, because your kid will see it, right? Just, if it starts turning into a battle, just stop it. Do not let it turn into a fight. This is supposed to be fun, especially for the kids, right? Don't ruin their holidays.
I actually had a hearing a few days ago, and we were trying to, it's a temporary order change, so we were trying to establish visitation for the holidays. And so the lawyers, of course, are overcomplicating, and we're like, well, you should have this time and this time. And both of the parents looked at us like we had lost our freaking minds, and they were like, we got this. Like, we already know what we're doing for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. We don't need y'all's help with this. Like, we're good. And I just looked at the other attorney like, okay, I guess we're good. And that's the way that it should be. Now, we'll see. I pray that everything goes well. And I think that it will in that particular case. But really, guys, the only people that are profiting whenever y'all start arguing over silly things like this is us. And
we have to buy Christmas presents too.
Yeah,
so we appreciate it.
But we would rather that you guys learn to compromise and work with one another, and so that you guys can use all that money to have spectacular trips and Christmas presents and all the good things, right? So last thing is that, remember, I guess what goes around comes around, right? This is going to happen again next year, and then the year after that, and the year after that. And so, that's the one thing about those tables, is that they always turn. So let's be kind, let's be gracious, and then hopefully next year, it'll be reciprocated. It'll be good.
Maybe you'll be on the nice list.
Yeah, exactly. No lip of coal for you. Anything else to say?
I guess just make sure you review your orders early on, right? Just reiterate that, look at them early, have that discussion with the other parent politely, and, enjoy it.
And maybe reach out if you're confused, like reach out to your attorney, or maybe have a consultation, so that way you make sure that you're reading it correctly, so you're not making any mistakes, because that does kind of suck if you don't understand your order and you miss your period of possession. Then there likely will not be anything that you can do about it. So read your orders, make sure you understand them, and then make sure that you follow them, and or try to compromise and get it in writing.
Yeah, and if you don't understand it, reach out early enough so it can be solved, right? So you're not calling us. You got to remember, the courts shut down a lot during the holidays. And if you call us today and say, I need Thanksgiving possession, we're going to say, sorry. Right? And probably if you called us today and said, I need Christmas possession, if it's not an emergency, you're probably not going to get in time. Everybody's trying to get in. So call us in September, right? Realize that that's when you have the problem. So we don't have to tell you, sorry, we can't do anything. We'll have time to address it.
Right. So, with that being said, as we've always stated in all of our podcasts, this is not to be construed as legal advice. If you guys have any of these issues with regard to holidays, please make sure that you reach out to your attorney or to an attorney in your area. We want to make sure that you guys follow us on all of our social media platforms. We have Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, etc. We also have several locations all around the state of Texas. And so we have offices in Midland, Odessa, Louisville, Flower Mound, Dallas, and North Richland Hills. And so if you guys are in or around any of those areas, feel free to reach out to us for a consultation. We are here to help, and we hope that you guys have a very happy holiday season.